Welcome to Land House. I'm Seth. This is the second half of the video that I made to build an outdoor power shed for my hydro and solar electronics. The first video went way too long, and so I broke it up into two parts. So, hope you enjoy part two of this build. It's just going to start right back in to where we left off in the previous video. I need 4 foot on this. Alright, so it doesn't quite come out to 2 pieces of 4 foot, so I may have to stick some little extra pieces in as I go, but let me fluff this out some and then we'll get this installed. So this whole process is pretty repetitive here. I'm just going to get these stapled in and fill all these little cavities until they're all done, and then I may put some up here, just one layer in the roof. And I didn't show you, but underneath the floor I've got that 1-inch foam board. I'm gonna put that in the door as well, I believe. But anyway, I'll probably use some more of that foam board up under there to make it nice and insulated. I'm cutting this OSB to 44.5 inches, and that will fit into the space quite nicely, I believe. Now the back wall of this little building is going to be covered in that concrete board to hopefully keep this thing totally fire resistant. But I want to have something for all my components to screw into, and so I'm putting this single sheet of 1/2-inch OSB, and that should give us what we need here. Since I messed up on my build by not cutting my boards, my back wall boards 3 inches short, I had to improvise down here, but anyway, we'll make it. So I'm just going to attach this in here, and it'll just give us a nice something to attach all of our components to without having to worry about it hitting a stud, which would be really frustrating. Okay, I'm just using some 2-inch screws to get this on here. So the whole back wall will have concrete board over it, but it just has this OSB to make sure plenty of place to attach to. Now it's time to work on the door of the power shed. Need to measure from one side to the other and then get the height. And I'm going to do this out of 2x4 and put some of the 1-inch blue foam on the inside for insulation. And it's going to have 3 or 4 hinges up top here, and the whole thing was open up so that it'll make kind of a rain shield. And I'll have to put some kind of metal lip in here to catch the rain and shoot it off away from the building whenever I'm actually in here. So let's get a measurement real quick and cut those pieces. All right, down here we've got 5 foot. Got 5 foot, that's good. And then up here we've got 49 and a half. 49 and a half. I've got 3.5-inch screws. In order to put the door frame together, I'm going to have to put a couple of holes here to allow my screw to go down far enough to attach into the other side of the board. So to do that, I'm going to have to use this screw sleeve, and I'm also going to put some holes using a Forstner bit just to make enough room in here to get those screws down in there. So do that real quick. ahead and get those started. This seems like a good place to assemble and also put in that blue insulation board. Now the insulation is 1 inch and this is 1.5 inches, so there is some gap in there, but it should at least give it some insulation. Uh-huh.
Look what I found.
What did you find? Another what?
Another worm.
You found another worm?
Yeah, look.
Hey, you sure did. Looks like he's kind of cold.
In half. The woody, like kidney worm.
So he found 1 worm and then now he has 2 worms?
No.
Because he broke it in half?
Yeah.
1 worms? Yep, 1 worms. Okay, I have this blue insulation board and I want to measure out the 2 different sections of this door. So about 24.5, go up here. We've got 42.5. Okay, let's see how I did here, getting this cut down to size. Pretty good down here. I used a stack of buckets to hold up the door and then was able to get this screwed into position. And so far it's working pretty good. It'll be a lot heavier once it has that hardy board on there. But let me kick this bucket out so you can see what it looks like closed. So I'm going to close that right there. Now I'll probably have a couple of latches on the side just to keep this where it should be. And then also I've got a door handle that came off of the house. I'm thinking that would be a good way to just lock this closed down here. Should work out pretty good. So I'll do that, or maybe just use the deadbolt. That way it'll be locked up. And I'll have breakers on the outside so that it can be shut off if need to be outside. The door of this little building is 59.5 inches. So I've marked that out here on this piece of concrete board. I'm going to use the Jackery power bank. Hopefully it'll run the angle grinder. I'm just going to make a single slit here, pop this in half, and then we'll get this installed on the outside of the door. I placed a couple bolts down here, so hopefully when I put this concrete board up here, those bolts will hold it and I can get some screws in here without it being a big mess. But we'll see. I may just turn off the camera and get this done without you. All right, let's give it a try. Okay, so those screws are about 1/4 inch. Hopefully it's enough to get this thing spaced. Okay, cool. There's one spot. I decided to lift this up a little bit more just in case. Alright, put a couple more in here to hold this thing up, and we'll see how well it opens and closes. Okay, nice. Those fell out. And that's pretty even with the bottom of the door, so. Just got all the hardy siding up on the little power shed. So I'd have to come back and put some trim on here, and of course I'll do painting and all that. And the door is on, so I left this little gap right here because I'm going to be putting this little PVC trim right here. It's kind of a, I guess, an elbow or a 90, and it will allow me to go right in here. And so whenever the door is up and the rain slides down, it'll hit that and hopefully go off to the side. We'll see. I mean, I probably won't open this if it's a downpour, but And I've also got one latch on so far. I'm gonna put one more on this side. It's looking pretty good. Now this door became really, really heavy as soon as I put this concrete board on here. And so I don't think I'm gonna put any on the inside. That was the original plan. So maybe I'll just do the floor and the sides with this concrete inside, and probably the ceiling as well, and just keep the door open. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe there's something fire resistant I can put on there that wouldn't be super heavy, but it's heavy enough as it is. My friend David gave me this metal roofing about a year ago. It's been sitting out here for the longest time. I figured it's gonna be just enough to get the roof here on the power shed done. There is no telling what kind of creatures are up under here. Probably snakes, or at least some black widows. But let's go ahead and pull this off and get it cut up. So far on the first piece, it's just a bunch of ants, crickets, and a toad. Oh, there's a piece 3 under there. I didn't remember that one. Not too bad. 3 big old toads and looks like 4 salamanders. Nice. No snakes. I was showing all the small details of this build and then realized just how long this video was getting. And so I stopped showing details, and now I'm just going to show you what this thing looks like here at the end. So let's take a look at it. Let's go ahead and start on the outside. So I've got the concrete board here, and that's going to allow it to hopefully be fire resistant. Now you'll notice I have my metal roof extended a little bit. I'm going to make another little building over here on the side to put my generator, which should be pretty nice. But it's up off the ground enough so I can run my wire from solar and hydro up from the bottom. Back here, it's just a very flat basic wall. I still have to do the trim work on here and paint, but for now it is weathered in. So up here in the front, oh, and also the slope up here is very gradual, but just enough to bring the water off and away from the house. So I've got a couple of latches here on the side, and that keeps it from swaying open. And then I've just got a simple lock to keep my kids from getting up in here. I also did this. I put some caulking up under here with this piece of 90 PVC trim. And so when I open the door, if it's raining, water will hit that and then hopefully run off. And I've got this weather stripping up in here and all along the door to hopefully keep the majority of the bugs out. There's a few gaps. Let's see, like right down here, I haven't done anything to that yet, so some spiders may get in. But anyway, so to open this, let me show you what we do. Just pull my lock off, and then that hatch opens up like that, and it's got a pretty tight seal. I may have to add some air vents for all the electronics in here so they don't get too hot. I've got this piece of unistrut as the door holding mechanism. I was going to do something where down here on the bottom it would fold out and up, but I figured it's just safer to use something like this. So I've got some 1/4-inch bolts through the wood underneath, and that's plenty enough to hold this. So let me show you what it looks like here. It's quite heavy, but I don't anticipate my kids ever opening this. But that piece of unistrut seems to hold this open quite well there on that little metal clasp. So on the inside, like I said, the door kind of acts as a rain shield, and so hopefully if it ever does rain on here, the water will just pour off of this and not get inside the building. The whole back wall is covered with the hardy siding, and so is the roof, and also the majority of the floor and some on the sides. I just used a little extra over there to get that done. But it basically gives me an 8-foot wall to work with for the electronics to be mounted. And I was thinking batteries down here on the bottom to give me all this space up here to work with. And so one of the nicest things is I no longer have to duck down up under the house to get this worked on. I can just lean over a bit and do all my stuff here. But I made it big enough so that hopefully I can do testing of all kinds of electronics that are sent to me. But the main thing is to have those 2 charge controllers, 2 grid tie limiter inverters, and the batteries down here to, and then I'm gonna have an off-grid inverter as well. Okay, so this part of the series is the boring build part, and the next part is where we're going to be laying out where we want the electronics and hopefully getting everything wired in so that it looks nice and also is functional. And then I'll probably leave, I guess, this side over here mostly empty so that I can test out other stuff that companies send to me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Leave me a comment down below of what you think about my little power shed. The main thing I want to do here is get all of my electronics out from under the house and out here so that if something horrible happened and something burned down, it would be pretty much just inside of this little shed, and hopefully it would just hit this concrete board and no damage to anything else. But that's the main thing I wanted to do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.